I'm a big fan of 14.5-inch 6.5 Creedmor. I'm a big fan of Geissele. So what if we put them both together for a $7,000 rifle? Well, let's see.
All right, so this is our Project Joy MRGG. It's going to be offered in 6.5 Creedmor. Right now we're running a 14.5-inch barrel. It's going to be cold hammer forged, chrome lined. And it's hard because a lot of the accuracy you see out of traditional cut rifle barrels is fantastic, but the accuracy you're getting out of our cold hammer forged chrome lined barrels are superb. It's absolutely incredible. As you continue down, we're running all the Huxworks muzzle devices, so you'll either get the brake or the flash hider with it. The handguard is going to be reminiscent of our Mark 16 style handguard, where you're going to have M-lock on the 45s and a continuous rail system all the way down that meets to the receiver itself. As you continue, let's go right to the gas system. We have what's called phased array. Phased array is a 3-port gas system patented by Geissele. This system works really well because instead of just one gas port pushing gas back to the gas tube, you now have 3 ports that allow the gas to diffuse better, move a softer recoil impulse against the bolt carrier.
Now, one question I had about that is, are there 3 different ports?
There's 3 separate ports on the barrel.
All on top? So you have 3 smaller ports on top?
So I can't get too much into how it works, but what I can say is there are 3 ports. They are symmetrical around the barrel in the sense that they will not affect accuracy and they will not affect the bullet as it's moving down the barrel.
Okay, gotcha. So now what is the actual gas system length? Because that's 14.5, so that gas block is intermediate?
I was going to say, I don't know if I would call it a specific length due to the fact that it has a proprietary nature.
Right. I got you. Now, on the uppers and lowers, fully ambidextrous.
Completely ambidextrous. Now, the cool thing about this, right, is you're used to the Geissele Maritime bolt catch. So we we tipped a hat back to that feature. We didn't want to lose it. But we wanted to also make sure you had a decent purchase on the magazine release on the left side of the gun. Now, as you roll over, though, we did something that's kind of unique. We utilized the dust cover, a steel disc insert on the opposite side of the dust cover, so that way instead of having to fish for a button to lock the bolt back, you can simply press down on the dust cover and lock the bolt to the rear.
That's interesting.
If you gloved hands, wintertime, it's a lot easier than trying to fish underneath the dust cover.
Right.
But you still have a very large bolt release. So it gives you the ability to have large enough features that aren't in the way, but at the same time, big enough that you don't miss them. We went ahead and shrouded the magazine release on this side so that way it won't get accidentally bumped. You're going to be utilizing the MRGG trigger, which is a phenomenal 2-stage trigger, completely nano weapon coated. A lot of people look at that and they're like, well, what does that mean? What is that jargon, nano weapon coating? Nano weapon coating is a proprietary coating by Geissele. We do it all in-house, and it's completely slick. The beauty of the nano weapon coating is that I can take a paper towel to something with 0 solvent and wipe it clean. It's absolutely incredible. The bolt carrier group itself, it is a Carpenter 158 plus bolt.
So is it the same as what you'll find in like a Super Duty? Because I run your Super Duties. I'm a dealer for your guys' products actually, so I'm familiar with a lot of your stuff.
Yes, so you're completely right on that. As far as the buffer system, we'll continue to utilize the Super 42. As you can see, there's basically a pressure like a little accu, so that'll help just keep the receiver tight together. But it provides a really soft recoil impulse between the gas system, and we have some proprietary workings with the BCG itself that helps slow that down. Makes for a very soft recoiling gun. It allows you to watch trace. That's one of the biggest things we wanted. As an individual shooter, one of the hardest things to do is when you're shooting and you get no data reported back from a spotter and you can't see where your trail is.
Exactly. So, I shoot by myself, so that's a nice thing.
Exactly, as an individual shooter, being able to see your trace and have a lower recoil impulse is extremely helpful. Now, with this system being a 14.5, commercial availability, I know we're looking at the end of summer of 2024, so this year.
This year, cool.
Pricing for this model is unknown at the point, but we're definitely going to try to get that for you guys. We did run a supercharging handle, just because we expect you to run a larger optic. The airborne is standard for the Super Duty, because generally speaking, you can run a red dot, you can run a magnifier, or something different.
Now,
we also gave you options.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
As far as the upper receiver, is this a proprietary pattern, or is it?
It is. So the reason why we went with that, right, for 2 reasons. We increased the length of the barrel extension. Increased the rigidity of the handguard. Now, 14.5, right, not as necessary as something like an 18 or a 20.
It is still dealing with more recoil.
Exactly, but you want to make sure that if I put an IR device on here, I don't want to lose 0. So with the continuous rail interface, interlock, when this rail comes off and on, you want to make sure that you're attaining 0, and we provide that for you. The grip is obviously interchangeable. We went with our A22 rather than the A17. With this type of platform, we feel that it just fits better. But grips are very subjective.
Yeah.
So
Everybody
that's one of those parts.
Favorite ones on.
Exactly. We do have our own stock. Now, sling, the second most subjective part of setting up your rifle, right? We gave you the ability to utilize
sling loops.
You got a lot
of sling points on.
We have steel QD inserts up front. We've got 4 different mounting points on the stock, and the shrouded trigger.
This is the stock that it will ship with.
Yes, this is a Geissele stock. We went with our own stock system. The problem that we're finding is that we like the lightweight, but the cheek well on these stocks is phenomenal. So we do enjoy having the Geissele stock on there.
Now, the buffer tube itself,
yes.
Is it a standard carbine length, or is it like an A5 extended?
It is a standard length.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a standard length system, but what I will say is the Super 42 system is proprietary. It's not the same as the standard one,
right.
So because it's the slightly larger platform. But you still will get that Super 42 braided wire buffer spring, which will help again with recoil. It definitely drops down the recoil impulse. Now, being in 6.5, there are 308 options. In addition, the smaller brother, the GFR system, will also be running Huxworks devices. We are selling the 6K cans on our website now. But it's definitely a cool platform. It gives kind of new meaning to quote-unquote battle rifle, right? So that's kind of been the new phase coming back.
Very cool.
But I'm really happy with our feature set. Like if you run the gun, all of the controls are exactly where you want them.
Now, do we know the weight without the suppressor, without the optics? So just the rifle itself, what's the weight?
I might have that on my cheat sheet.
Okay. Because I'm not thinking it's going to be super light, even though it's only a 14.5. It's probably still going to be like 8.5, 9 pounds.
I was going to say MRGG S kitted out is 10.5.
Okay.
So this is probably going to be in that, like you said, 8.5 range. Should have brought my luggage scale from when we all flew in and just been like, all right, let's see what this is at.
That's exactly what that is.
But I guarantee you we'll have that. If you need those numbers, I will get you those numbers.
That's
just
ballpark is good, just give an idea of what it is.